The Willamette Valley is home to professional basketball in Albany, Oregon, and in year 3, the Jaguars are poised for their biggest season yet. The Willamette Valley Jaguars are your local professional basketball team, competing across the western United States, representing the Willamette Valley region in the Basketball League, or TBL. The Jaguars roster is composed of players from across the country, grinding to live out their dreams of playing professional basketball. Every episode, we take you behind the scenes on the latest updates on the team, breaking down performances throughout the season, and interviewing coaches, players, and team executives. Tune in for special episodes to hear from the team's community partners, as well as exclusive interviews with city and state officials who support the Jaguars throughout the season. This is Jaguars Beyond the Baseline.
Welcome in to Jaguars Beyond the Baseline. Once again, I'll be your host today, Devlin Christensen. Alongside me, Willamette Valley Jaguars Director of Broadcasting, Isaac Doobie, co-hosting today. And a very special guest, back in the mix himself, Troy Mix Jr. is a Jaguar once again. Troy, great to have you back. Just how you feeling?
Glad to be back for sure, man. Glad to see all these familiar faces. Good vibes, yeah.
So, let's jump right into it. Obviously, the fans are going to be really excited to have you back, but, what went into that decision? Why come back to the Jaguars?
Man, like I was telling Isaac, like it's family vibes for sure, man. I just love this place. They welcomed me with open arms last year when I first got here, coming from Wenatchee, and I just love it. So I'm glad to be back for sure.
Yeah, when you were a free agent for a second earlier this year, and you popped by the Jaguars home opener, got some love from us on the broadcast. It was great to see you. But kind of jumping into it, at Lynn Benton Community College, last year on the Jaguars, you moved around a lot. You had a couple different home venues. And so now that you got to, you haven't played there yet, but you got to visit it as a fan and see what that environment's like. Just, what excites you about having that kind of home venue?
So I think Coach Mary did an excellent job this year with just interacting with the community. Last year we kind of got started a little late. Marion was working hard, but he had a lot of things going on his end. And that's like kind of hard to do, owning the team and having to make sure everything is in place from top to bottom. But towards the end of it, he kind of got us like involved with the community and the schools and everything like that in the Albany area specifically. So I think that work from last year with the work that Coach Mary took on this summer with the junior NBA and all of that good stuff played a big part in what I saw on the first home opener. Like, it was a real pro environment. The stands were packed. They were engaged with the game from the floor seating. Like, it really gave a professional vibe. So I'm definitely looking forward to getting in there and showing the crowd a little something.
Yeah. So for any new fans tuning in for the first time, Troy was a big part of last year's team, started just about every game, one of the primary scorers for that team, and really giving this Jaguars roster a shooting boost that we've got that they are, kind of in need of right now. And so you just want to talk a little bit about, like, you kind of touched on it, but, like, what was your experience like with the Jaguars last year compared to going into this midseason?
So first off, I'd like to say Coach Mary kind of gave me some confidence that not to say I was lacking, but to kind of just reinstate it with me. She just was like, just go out there and play your game. Like, she saw me at practice. Obviously, she saw the film, and I could play like 1 through 5, but I was short. I hit a crazy growth spurt, so like I always play with the ball in my hand. I was like point guard, shooting guard. So she was just like, just go out there and be you. And my teammates accepted that too, because I look to get them involved, because I know it's not a single man sport. You need everybody on board. Everybody has to be a part of the run to be great, and to actually win. And so they gave me that confidence, and like I said, I just took it and ran off with it, man, and been able to do some great things. So I'm looking forward to getting back to it and doing something else. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's exciting. You talked about being, such a key player for the whole team last year, that whole season. But what my mind always goes back to was, that first win with the Jaguars. And, you played a monumental role. You actually lost a jump ball at the end of the game, and then were scrappy enough to grab it back, got the team the ball back, which ended up, taking like 20 seconds off the clock and leading to that big win. And so, you're a monumental piece in Jaguars history so far, but this team already has a win so far this year. Not nearly as many games played as the rest of the Western Conference. We've had a couple cancellations. But what really excites you about this new team? There's some guys that are back, but it's a new core.
So there were familiar faces there, too. They had a couple guys that were playing with the Jags when I was actually playing with Wenatchee. So I got a chance to play against them, and I thought they was pretty good talent. AB and I think Zion. I actually, crazy story, I played with them at the TBL draft like 3 years ago.
Oh, wow.
I don't even know if they remember that, but we were definitely on the same team. And they wound up getting drafted. So did I, first round. And different teams, though. So 3 years later to actually be on the same team with those guys is pretty cool. Plus, I B Shuttles, Ace, Tavo, Davey. I'm excited to get back with those guys for sure.
Yeah, some of those dogs that you were working with last year.
I got a question for you. I'm curious. I think Jaguars fans who followed the team a little bit last year know a bit about your game as kind of you stretch the floor a little bit with your shooting capabilities. I'm curious, is there any new aspect of your game that you're planning on bringing that we didn't see last year? Anything that you've worked on or how you've evolved since last year?
Yeah, so actually playing with two different teams this season, I had to expand my game a little bit more. Like I said, I'm comfortable playing any position, but I was asked to do some things that I hadn't been asked to do in a little while. So I had been playing, the last team I was with, they had me playing point guard mostly. It was pretty cool because, like I said, I don't really have to do too much to kind of get my own shot. But to see other people, eat and flourish off of the assist, I like that. And then I think my rebounding has gotten way, way, way better. I would just sit and look, not engaged, but I feel like once I played defense, I didn't really crash because I'm somebody else gonna do it. So now I'm nah, I'll go get it and just start it off like that. So rebounding for sure, and definitely my point guard ability.
Yeah, this is I won't necessarily say the team has a lot of holes, but there's a lot of question marks and roles to fill in that situation. So the shooting, I'm definitely expecting that to help, but rebounding is going to be a big piece of that as well. Kind of going into, you talked about Coach Mary giving you some confidence, and we talked about that win. That was Coach Mary's first game ever as a Jaguar, and you played such a big role in it, and you were with the team when she was coaching those last 10 or so games of the season. But she kind of got thrown into the fire, kind of like a mid-season, she wasn't really expecting that. There was, a bit of a surprising turnover there.
She did a pretty good job with that transition, though. That's pretty hard, too, in itself. I don't think people give her enough credit for that, because our previous coach before then, Coach B, was very, knowledgeable of the game, come from a great basketball background. And for Coach Mary to just step in and flawlessly, transition from what he had us doing, it says a lot about her too. And I just like what she's done with the Jags in general. So,
yeah. So you got 10 games to work with her and Jordan, and now that she's been around the team for about a year, it's really her team. She's built her own staff around it. So in what ways have you really seen her and her staff grow, and what made that another attractive opportunity to come back to the Jags?
First, Jordan is excellent.
Okay.
She's a great person to have on the sideline, just keeping everybody cool, giving input on like certain plays and such. Like she has a real good basketball mind too. And I've met Chuck, and I actually played with Anton last year in Salem. We played together with the Jags. And I know he's had some overseas experience. So just like picking those guys' brains, just to better myself. And, they've been places that I haven't been. So just using them as I catapult my career, trying to get back overseas. And, yep.
Yeah. So pivoting, just a little bit, but you talked about you've bounced around to a couple teams this year.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the Jaguars itself, was an attractive enough opportunity to bring you back in.
Mm-hmm.
But what about Oregon? Like, was last year your first year here? Like, kind of walk us through, coming to Oregon in the first place and then deciding to come back.
Man, I say coming from Wenatchee to this, it was like night and day. Oregon is huge. Like, you can literally go somewhere and it be chill. You could go somewhere and it's like party vibes. You could just pick your spots here. And Wenatchee, it was just like, right, we got an Applebee's. We can go eat there. But in some form of way, it was cool because we got the team bond a lot in Wenatchee. And I think that's really like key to winning. We were around each other 24/7. It wasn't really nothing for us to do. So we just got to, be good friends, and that led to wins on the court. Oregon is I love it here. Like, so when Coach asked me to come back, I was just like, it's a no-brainer. You didn't have to ask twice. I'll be here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so what was it at the beginning of the month? Like, what was the last game that you played for Tri-Cities? Because you've had like a weekend off or something.
Yeah,
like
I
that,
did.
Right?
The last game I played was, so they had they played Great Falls 4 times. Yep. So I actually took the trip to Montana and played out there with them, and it was cool. Like, it was all right. I felt like I left food on the table though, because I started off real hot. I had like 12 in the first quarter, and me being the teammate that I am, I kind of let off the gas to get other people going, and it didn't end how I thought it should have ended. But I get a chance to see him again, so it's cool.
Exactly, yeah. Exactly. But having a weekend off like that, the Jags themselves had a couple games canceled, and so they had like a 2-week break. Yours is going to be a bit shorter, but treating it kind of like a mid-season, like all-star break kind of thing. Just what have you been up to with that spare time?
I was in Seattle, just in the gym, putting up shots, workouts, sauna, lifting. I just like to stay on the grind, just because you never know when you're gonna get another call or another opportunity. And I want to, whatever I was getting into, I wanted to jump into it full strength. And so I was treating it like off season, really just working out. I knew I was gonna get a call. I just honestly, I wasn't expecting it to be the Jags. And so once they did call, I was like, oh yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah. Obviously you're just getting back into the flow with the team and everything, and you're gonna spend your own break how you want to. Mm-hmm. But how does a break like this mid-season kind of like how does that benefit the team? Is it more of a pro? Is it more of a con? Is there wins or losses with something like that?
I think that depends on the player, honestly. For me, being around it so long, it's just like you got to stay at it, because that 1 week could deter you. You could come back out of shape. Now you got to get back in shape. So you're tired. You can't really get the shots and the workouts that you want to get, because you need your body to be rested. But most of the time it's good to just, stay in the lab, man. Even if it's not as intense as practice, just skill work or just watching film, seeing where you can get better, just stuff like that. It's good to stay on it. So as a team, it's definitely good. It can be good because, injuries play a huge part in the roster, and you need everybody healthy. So I think that time off can be good if used the correct way.
Yeah. So, now you're officially back with the team. And was your first practice today or is that tomorrow?
Nah, it was today.
How did it go? Tell us all about
7
it.
a.m.
7 a.m. up bright and early.
I was up at 5 o'clock. Like, I can't be late on the first day, man. Like, so yeah. Nah, I actually, it was smooth, man. They got some ballers for sure. Yeah, it was a good practice. Like I said, I got there a little early. Table was right behind me. He just popped up. I'm like, "What's up, bro?" But yeah, man, definitely. Oh, I forgot to say what's up to Caden for sure. We played in Thailand together, so yeah, it was good seeing those guys and like finally getting the scrimmage with them and put in some work. Like I said, the Jags got a lot of talent, man. We're gonna shock a lot of people for the rest of this season, for sure.
Yeah. So you got that first practice in, and we talked a little bit about like Ace is back. You know a lot of the guys on the team, but some of those new guys that you haven't played with, like I don't know if you played with Jerry, and the team didn't really have a guy that was
big,
that big last year.
Mm-hmm.
So is there anybody new that like stood out? You're excited to play with.
I'm
you think
excited
your game's
to play
gonna
with.
play off them well?
Pause. I'm excited to play with everybody. don't do it. But nah, man. Like I said, it's from top to bottom. Everybody's smooth. They bring different things to the table. I think the next step for us would be just like putting everything together as a team and playing good team ball. But like the talent is there for sure, man. Like I was at practice, like they really got a lot of good pieces that can work together. So I'm anxious to see it live in action. So Friday and Saturday should get 2 wins. I'm calling it now. We getting 2 dubs.
I want to ask you about like the current standings. Coach Mary has been talking about how, with just like a few wins, this team could be sitting at 3rd or 2nd place in the West right now. You have played for already a couple teams and like been around the conference a little bit, it sounds like. From like what you've seen out of some teams in the West and the upcoming schedule for the Jaguars, got 2 games against Grant County, also hosting Forebears. Just how do you feel about like the season going forward, the next few weeks, and just like going on a run? Like what needs to happen? What needs to fall in place?
It's definitely possible. I say defense for sure. Like I've seen the Jags play one time, but I also played against these 2 teams that we're about to face off against and actually got a dub against both of them. But the factor that played the most in it was defense on both teams. Just getting stops and then being smart on offense, not playing their game, but playing with coach's game plan. And they definitely could be beaten. The conference is, besides the Forebears, it's pretty wide open. Everybody is pretty like close to each other. Grant County and Great Falls are battling for 2nd, but like I said, it's 3 teams that make the playoffs. So we beat Grant County these next 2 games, and then get Great Falls. Like we right there, 2nd place. I mean, it's gonna be hard to get first because Forebears haven't lost but 1 game. But anything's possible for sure.
And they're sitting at 13-1 right now. I want to ask you more about like the strategy and the game plan of not playing Grant County's game, because Grant County's a team that really wants to get into transition quickly and get points like 5 seconds into the shot clock. What kind of like patience or what things do you instill throughout the week to try to make that and translate that to game day, that you guys are patient, don't turn the ball over a ton?
I say, first off, I say Grant County is a real good team. Like, they scrappy. They remind me of us in Wenatchee my first year. They just, you could never count them out of a game because they just scrappy. They gonna hustle. They kind of doggish. Like, they're there the whole game. But like I said, just getting stops on defense. They're one of them teams that don't have a big, so we match up well with them. And, just getting some of them key guys going early, like Tavo and Kev, Preston, letting them and then, defensively just staying on them and closing the possession out with a rebound. But these are games that we could win. Like the talent I seen in the gym this morning, man, there's no way we don't make a playoff run this season for sure.
Talking about Grant County a little bit still, I don't know how much you've looked into that last matchup against Willamette Valley. That was, at the Jags' house. Jags lost by 14. Kind of ended up being a big free throw game at the end. It was, a pretty uneventful last 2 minutes, but pretty much right up to that. Jags were really, really competitive, and it was just about, closing that game out. And I keep, every time we talk about it, closing a game out right now, I keep thinking about, how you really stepped up in the last minute or two of that win last season, and Tavo did, and a couple of other guys had, like, really, really big clutch plays in that moment. I think you hit a big three sometime in the last 3 or 4 minutes that put the Jaguars back ahead when they were trading the lead. And so, is like that clutch time moment something that you pride yourself on, something you think you're going to bring to the team?
I do, yeah. I mean, I just love that. I love that energy. Just because, like I said, I stay in the gym, so I kind of feel like I know when I'm going to make a shot, when it's coming off my hand. Like, I just know I got that feel, but that just comes from me standing in the gym. And that Salem game was not one of my best scoring games, but like I said, I know I can do a lot of other things that can affect the game as well. So, like I said, I think Tavo had a good scoring game. Brandon, they would keep LJ, they were keeping us in the game. And I'm like, man, what can I do to affect this moment right now? And I think somebody was at the free throw line, and I grabbed the rebound, and then we had a jump ball, got the scrappy little play, and, got our first win. That was huge. That was a good moment for the franchise.
Right.
Absolutely.
Sure.
And that was one of my first games with the Jaguars. It was one of my first play-by-play games at all, and I was super amped about it. And that was kind of the moment that I realized, talking about the team, but also you specifically. Like, in my mind, I would watch you, like, size somebody up and step back for a three. And I thought that you were, like, primarily an offensive guy, because obviously we all know you could score the ball. But that was the moment that I realized, I was like, this isn't just a guy that wants to get buckets. This is a guy that cares about winning, and you showed it all out there. So I think that that's going to be an infusion of, like, passion that this team is going to, really feed off of, because everybody there wants to win and has that passion. But I think the more that you guys get comfortable and keep pushing each other, it's going to be great.
For sure.
So back to Grant County a little bit. They are just 1-4 since that last game versus the Jaguars. And you talk about making a run, and, when the Jaguars last played them, there was a lot of question marks. They had, like, 6 new players on their team that weren't there before. And so they didn't really have an identity. Now that you know their identity, you talked about you've played them a couple times, do you feel like there's some sort of weakness that you're familiar with? Like Isaac talked about not letting them play their own game, but is there one specific thing with Grant County that, like, you're trying to identify that will beat them?
Limit them from getting to the goal. They have 1 or 2 guys that can shoot the ball real well, but for the most part, they try to get to the goal. So limited the paint touches. Like I said, I think we match up with them size-wise real good if we're not bigger than them. They don't really have a big, but they like to run the floor. So limit the transitions and, just get stops on defense and take our time on offense, because I don't think they want to slow the game down. They want to run. So if we play our game at our own pace, I don't see why they would even be in the game with us.
Just one more thing about Grant County. Obviously, we know that your guy's about winning. The whole team's about winning, and you already said it. You're booking it 2 wins this weekend. But first game back in a Jags uniform, do you have any sort of personal goals or any sort of, like, point total you want to hit? Any cool thing you're trying to do, or is it all about winning with you?
All about winning for me, man. Like, I think the other stuff comes in time. I personally don't like to, like, go out there and press for something. I play with pace, so, like, Like I said, I make the right basketball play, so I expect it to come back. And with that gets the team involved too. So somebody else may get going, and it's like, man, I got an open shot, but here, you take it, you hot. So as long as that's equating to wins, it's cool with me, man. So I'm gonna go out there and play my hardest, and hopefully, well, we're going to end up with a dub, but I'm definitely going to play my hardest, whether that's scoring points, grabbing rebounds, getting the team, doing whatever they need me to do to get a win is what I'm looking to go out there and do. So
I love to hear it.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about this weekend, back-to-back on Friday and Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Did they decide on a jersey number? Did you guys ask
man.
about that or figure that out?
I wanted 55 back, but I think I'm going to go with 50. This year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I like it.
Because Tavo still got my number, but it's cool.
All right. Isaac, you got anything else?
No. Appreciate you coming on, Troy.
Thanks for having me.
Super excited to see how you gel with the team this weekend.
Yeah.
And yeah, super excited to see you guys play Grant County at home. Yeah.
Friday and Saturday, is it a 6:30 tip?
6:30 tip
6:30 tip for both games. That'll do it for Jags Beyond the Baseline. Want to big thank you to Troy for making the trip down here,
sure.
And thank you for coming back to the Jags. Really happy to have you.
Yep.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's edition of Jaguars Beyond the Baseline. If you want to find out more about the Jaguars, you can go to their website at wvjags.com or follow them on their social channels at wvjags or search for Willamette Valley Jaguars online.